All right, we're back live, my friends. William Gheen joining us in the next hour. I want to go back to your phone calls. But I wanted to play a clip one more time of Zbigniew Brzezinski making quite an admission. And I'm seeing similar admissions from the RAND Corporation, the UN, the Club of Rome, the State Department, and others, that they tried to lie to the public and deny they were forming a global corporate government for the administrative convenience of central bankers, which they believe is much better than the former auto-determination of nation-states. That's basically a quote from David Rockefeller. I'm paraphrasing there almost word for word. In fact, just pull me up the David Rockefeller quote so I'm exact. David Rockefeller world government quote. There's a bunch of them, but it's the one about a world government for the administrative convenience of world bankers, private central bankers. There's many variants of that. The point is that they would deny all this was going on forever, and now they're not denying it. So I want to get back into that, take your phone calls, and talk about what's happening to incumbents, both Republican and Democrat, in primaries from Utah to Pennsylvania to Kentucky, you name it. This is a big deal. But before I go any further here today, I wanted to tell you about a few of the sponsors that have made this radio broadcast possible. One of them is Pure Water Freedom, purewaterfreedom.com. One word. I want to tell you about purewaterfreedom.com. If you want to affordably remove fluoride from your tap water, visit purewaterfreedom.com. They have a full line of household fluoride filters. You can even remove fluoride from every water source in your home with a whole house fluoride system. It's not enough to just filter your water because you breathe it and it goes through your skin in the bath or the shower. They have a wide variety of filters to remove all types of toxins from your water, including shower and bath filters. All their filters are made in the USA. Check out their banner on prisonplanet.com and Infowars.com, or go to purewaterfreedom.com today to take control of your water supply. And continuing along the lines of being self-sufficient and beginning that long journey towards being off the grid, which is so important for everybody to attempt to do, I want to tell you about mysolarbackup.com. If you lost your power and wanted to simply flip a switch to get the lights back on, if so, you should check out mysolarbackup.com, because there's never been a better time to start getting off the grid and generate your own supply of electricity right now. Here's why. Plug-and-play generators from our great sponsors, Solutions from Science, are just wonderful systems, no installation needed, and supply household current whenever and wherever you need it, producing electricity directly from the sun. Unlike gas generators, solar generator runs quietly and emits no fumes. Great for your house, great for your work shed or camping. Check them out at mysolarbackup.com or give them a call at 877-327-0365. The government doesn't own the sun yet, folks, so take action today. 877-327-0365. And you can get a bunch of these units and run your whole house, but it's good to just get started. Okay. I cannot describe to you how big of a deal it is to have Ban Ki-moon, Secretary General of the UN, Herman Van Rompuy, unelected head of the EU, former Prime Minister Gordon Brown, Al Gore, all these world leaders coming out and saying, we're setting up a world government based on global carbon taxes, a global constitution of the G20 controlling the planet's currencies, national currencies that are under the auspices and are pegged to the SDRs. Now, why have they done that? This was a big thing for them in the last 2 years, to shift from denying they were setting up a world government for the last 50 as they were setting it up. Thousands of their internal documents fell into our hands. They published many of them in scholarly reports knowing you wouldn't be reading them. That's how arrogant they are, thinking all you care about is, baseball and football and partying. Well, Brzezinski explains why, and I'm seeing this in more and more reports, why they've now, and of course I said this years ago, in the last 2 years they've shifted from denying all of this to admitting that it's real, because they've passed that cost-benefit point where if we lie about world government, that'll discredit us with people that find out we are setting it up, but they're such a small minority, we want to sneak up on the world population with this global corporate takeover, so we're going to go ahead and lie. But in the last 2 years, and I think a few years late, they should have done this a decade ago, they were smart, they went from denying it to admitting it, and even admitting that it's authoritarian. Remember 2 years ago, or about a year and a half ago, it's in the Obama deception, scores of articles, Time Magazine, Newsweek, but especially the Financial Times of London said, and now for world government. That was the headline, and now for world government. And why did they say, and now for world government? Well, he goes on to say, we've built it quietly, we built it in stealth, yes, it's authoritarian, you don't know what's good for you, this is to save the earth. And yes, the Bilderberg Group's real. Okay? So, not only do they admit it's a world government, but that it's unelected and unaccountable to you because they know better. And then, of course, in every case, they rob you with this system they've built. And torture and secret arrest and DNA databases is what these people put in to place in every country they control. They are tyrants. They don't want free speech. They don't want private property for the general public, only for themselves. It's all selectively enforced. It's a super elite destroying anybody who has 2 cents to rub together. Now, you have all that going on. And you have Zbigniew Brzezinski at a televised CFR meeting admitting there's been a global awakening to the New World Order. The G20 is our best shot at world government, but it's infighting. And we already played that part of the clip. It's a long clip last hour. The full unedited clip is up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com right now. But then the first question he gets is, you know, don't we need to use the UN as a world government? And he goes on to explain that it's basically impotent, that yes, they want a world government, but there's no single power big enough to enforce the world government. So he also admits the U.S. is the main bulldog and the main engine of the world government, destroying our sovereignty while we're used to destroy other people's sovereignty with economic warfare, with invasions, selling rebels weapons, selling neighboring countries weapons, State Department Memorandum 200, where Kissinger talks about selling weapons to a neighboring country to attack the next country to create population reduction. I mean, this is ruthless. And this is the great game where they play nations and groups and people off against each other. That's what racist films like Machete are about, getting us all fighting with each other. Because if the globalists can't make us infight, they're going to lose. But his big admission is the people are now awake. As I said 2 years ago, they made a decision that wasn't announced, but you could see the decision. Suddenly, hundreds of articles a week admitting it's authoritarian world government, but that it's for your own good. Remember that. For the world government and telling you it's good. And yes, they've been trying to set it up. And poor them, they're having trouble because people are awake. Clearly, they passed that point where lying about it was only discrediting them. So now they shifted into telling you, okay, world government is a good thing, but they still think cops are dumber than the general public because they still teach police in all their training manuals that it doesn't exist and that if you talk about it, the person talking about world government wants to kill cops. It's just very elementary brainwashing. Hey, if you hear somebody saying there's a banking takeover, a world government, be careful, they want to kill you. That's in all the different ADL, Southern Poverty Law Center, MIAC, Homeland Security reports that we received from law enforcement a year and a half ago. Now that's all public. See? So, but they've almost completely converted over from saying it doesn't exist to admitting it exists because for the first time in history, and I agree with him, the Renaissance was only localized via the printing press, again, information. That's what the Gutenberg press generated that in the last 400 years. But now this is worldwide. The populations are looking past the globalist puppets over their nations to the actual string pullers. So let's go ahead and go to this video clip. Here it is.
The other major change in international affairs is that for the first time in all of human history, mankind is politically awakened. That's a total new reality. Total new reality. It has not been so for most of human history until the last 100 years. And in the course of the last 100 years, the whole world has become politically awakened. And no matter where you go, politics is a matter of social engagement. And most people know what is generally going on in the world, and are consciously aware of global iniquities, inequalities, lack of respect, exploitation. Mankind is now politically awakened and stirring. The combination of the two, a diversified global leadership, politically awakened masses makes a much more difficult context for any major power, including currently the leading world power, the United States.
I really enjoyed your presentation, but I'm wondering, how would you rate the United Nations in helping solve some of the geopolitical problems we've had? Some people say they're not adding a lot of solutions, and some people even suggest we should have another organization internationally that can do the job that the United Nations should be doing. And even people are talking about one world governments. I mean, how do you view the UN right now?
Well, there should be such an organization. The word "should" implies that there is a kind of moral imperative or need for it. But it doesn't exist. Why doesn't it exist? Because we